And it was at that very moment that Orange realized he'd been eating a dirty gym sock the entire time!
Ew!
Did I overhear someone telling a creepy pasta?
No, Pear was just telling an actual story about me.
So you actually ate a dirty gym sock? Like, the entire thing?
Are you surprised? That's not even that crazy for Orange.
Yeah, earlier today he farted the ABCs, so...
Enough! Listen, I thought I heard a creepy pasta in progress, and I went to all the effort of doing my creepy entrance routine. I'm on a roll. We're just gonna go with it, okay? Now, who among you is brave enough to hear my newest creepypasta? The Funky Paw.
Is this anything like the famous short story, The Monkey's Paw?
No, that story isn't funky whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Now then, The Funky Paw is a story about a young grapefruit. Here we go. Yes, it is indeed coincidental that you are a grapefruit, and the story involves a grapefruit. Do not interrupt me again. Now then, on to my creepypasta, which is, as always, to die for. Once upon a time, there was a young grapefruit who cared very, very much about the way he smelled.
What is happening right now?
I realize it's coincidental. Now stop interrupting. For someone without a nose, the grapefruit's sense of smell was quite refined. One day, while shopping for rare scents in a shop he had never visited before, he was offered a horrible-smelling Funky Paw for purchase. The purveyor of the shop told him the paw would grant him 3 wishes, but there was a catch. All of his wishes would be granted in a rather funky fashion. The grapefruit purchased the paw, exited the shop, and when he looked back, the shop had vanished into a cloud of greenish gas. Nevertheless, the grapefruit rushed straight home with the paw and wished for a pile of money. It instantly appeared. The young grapefruit was overjoyed to find the paw worked. However, the pile of cash smelled rather funky. So funky, in fact, that no one would accept it as payment. No matter how much the grapefruit offered to pay, no one wanted his stinky money. And so, the grapefruit was left with a smelly pile of cash that was utterly worthless. The grapefruit decided to make his second wish, that the woman of his dreams would fall madly in love with him. Again, the wish came true immediately. She loved him dearly and could not be convinced otherwise, no matter what. You see, the grapefruit absolutely reeked. The stench of his money had permeated everything in the surrounding area, including the grapefruit himself. No matter how many times he bathed or tried to hide it with his ridiculous collection of body sprays, the grapefruit stank to high heaven. But his love was not deterred and remained entranced by him, even though she vomited whenever he came near. Eventually, the grapefruit was at the end of his rope. He was penniless, he smelled awful, and the love of his life was vomiting far too frequently for his liking. I wish for the smell to go away, he thought to himself, before he realized he still had one wish remaining. Why, he could simply wish the smell away. And so the grapefruit took up the paw and began uttering his wish aloud, saying, "I wish for the smell." But then, in the middle of his sentence, he caught a whiff of himself and vomited uncontrollably. And unfortunately for him, the paw heard his request. He had wished for the smell, and that's precisely what he got. From that day forward, the funky stench spread across the land, causing everyone who smelled it to bark loudly and comedically. The smell was so horrid that some people even barfed themselves to death, and the stench of their decaying bodies somehow made the stench even worse. Everyone knew it was the grapefruit who had brought the funky curse upon them, but they did not seek retribution. To kill the grapefruit would be too kind. The true punishment was to allow him to live alongside his vomit-happy true love and his funky-smelling cash every day for the rest of his natural life. The end.
Now that's a creepypasta that passed the sniff test.
Guys, where's Grapefruit?
Oh, I believe he went to change the radiator hose on his riding lawnmower, yes.
Checks out. I believe it.
Man, that was a really good creepypasta. The way you described the smell, I can practically smell it.
Actually, that wasn't the story. It was me.
Orange!
What? I can't help it. I ate a gym sock.